Hello, everyone. It's Monday, May 9th, and this is Amy Waninger from Lead at Any Level. Lead at Any Level is a boutique consulting and training firm that helps you reduce unwanted turnover, improve employee engagement and retention, and as I like to say, keep employees and keep them engaged. If you're joining me live, please put in the chat where you're coming in from, and I would love to say hello to you in the live stream. If you are watching this on a replay, please comment anyway and let me know where you are and what you're hoping to get out of today. I promise to respond to all comments. I want to welcome those who are already here. Don't forget to let me know who you are and where you're from. So real quick, I want you to share this video, whether you're watching live or watching on recording. I'd love for you to share this with the people who are working really hard in your organization to create inclusive cultures. This might be your chief diversity officer, your head of HR or chief people officer, might be your CEO or your chief financial officer or your president or COO. Whoever that person is in your company, please share this with them because I have a special invitation for them today. Now, I talk all over the country and, in fact, via Zoom all over the world about creating inclusive cultures, leading more inclusively, being a more inclusive leader, and really building spaces and workplaces that celebrate people for their differences, for what they bring to the organization, for that culture contribution that they add. And I go to conferences all over the country and hopefully as things open up around the world as well. So, I love speaking about these topics, about how we can all do things just a little bit differently so that our organizations are more inclusive, so that people feel like they belong, and so that we can keep great people and keep them engaged in our companies. But there are a lot of people doing this work internal to organizations. And sometimes I'm able to help them and sometimes I'm not. But I always love hearing what's going on in your organizations in this space. What are you doing internally to keep people and to keep them engaged? And folks might be, you might be talking about very large organizations where you have entire diversity offices stood up, or you may be talking about smaller companies, smaller teams and what you're doing there. But what I really love to tell you about today is something special that I'm starting. I used to do a podcast for an organization called Living Corporate. Living Corporate is a Black owned media company, and they're really focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Content and solutions for companies. So, in some ways, they're a competitor to me, but in a lot of ways, they're really a collaborator. And Living Corporate you can find more about them at living-corporate.com. Let me put that in real quick. Hi, Luana from Virginia. It's so good to see you. Um, Let me put this in really quickly because I want to, and I didn't have this prepared. I'm so sorry. But living-corporate.com. This is a wonderful, wonderful media company. They do work, they have webcasts, podcasts, live events, all sorts of stuff going on over there. Tons of content on their blog, tons of content on their platform. I think they're going to launch a job board here soon. They've got a whole bunch of stuff coming, and they're getting ready to do this huge relaunch of their brand and their platform. It's going to be really amazing. So visit them at living-corporate.com. But the reason I'm telling you about them today is not only because I learned so much following their content and engaging with their content, but also because I used to podcast for them. The very first podcast interview I ever did, if you want to hear how far I've come, was episode 4 of the Living Corporate podcast. Maybe it was episode 6. And we talked about allyship. And it was the very first time anybody had ever asked me to be on a podcast. This was way back in 2018 when I was brand new to my business. And I wanted to continue that relationship with Zach and the Living Corporate team. And so I started writing articles for them and I started a podcast for them that I called See It to Be It. That podcast was all about just talking to people about what do you do and how did you get into this work? What surprises you? Where do you find community? And Living Corporate's really focused on Black and Brown professionals, Black and Brown voices and experiences in the workplace. So all the people that I interviewed for that podcast almost exclusively were Black and Brown professionals. And I got to learn a lot about what people did. But more importantly, I get to share all those jobs that might be hidden from young people that, maybe don't have an extensive network of older adults or mentors who went to college. That was certainly my experience growing up. And I wanted to share that with younger people who probably don't have that experience as well, or may not have access to all this wealth of knowledge about what jobs exist for people who are in the professional space. And I had a lot of fun with this. We did this podcast, I think, for close to 3 years. And I kind of started it by accident. I was really just recording interviews so I could turn them into articles. Um, but the content, I think, I've been told was really good, but it really wasn't as close to my passion as I wanted it to be. So um, we spun down that podcast late last year, late in 2021. And I've been kind of trying to figure out what is it that we want to do next in this space. Who do I want to talk to? What do I want to talk to them about? And that's where your chief diversity officers, your chief operating officers, your chief financial officers come in. So please share this with them if you haven't already. But what I want to do is I'm creating a new podcast, and it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be called Including You. And this series is all about what organizations are already doing, what's working well inside different organizations related to diversity and inclusion, but also just related to employee retention and engagement, because these two things are very closely interwoven. And so I want to talk to you. If you are in this space, if you're doing good work in a company, if you are leading this effort, really chief diversity officers and other executives who are leading diversity and inclusion or employee retention and engagement efforts in your organizations, I want to talk to you for my new Including You series. And the way this is going to work is, um, so the series is all about what are you doing that's working. So that's what the series is about. A little about me. I've got a podcast background. I've been doing this work for several years now. And, I've worked with some really large companies that you would have heard of. I've worked with some really small organizations that you may not know exist, and sort of everywhere in between. And so I really want to find out, like, what's new, what's going on now that we're returning to work, and people are kind of navigating this new normal space that we're trying to create. The show, so talk about the show, talk about the host. The sponsor of this program, of this new show, is Lead at Any Level. That's my company. We're a boutique training and consulting company. And so we're putting in a lot of the heavy lifting on this show. And the distribution partner is Living Corporate. Living Corporate has a number of, like I said, of web shows, podcasts, blogs, and other resources available to people who are trying to navigate the corporate space. And I think that this will be great for their audience as well. So if this is something that you do and you're interested in talking to me about this and being interviewed, talking about what's going on inside your company that's working really well, please leave a note in the comments, because I want to be able to reach out to you and have you on the show and highlight all the amazing work that you're doing inside your own company. Now, um, we're going to release this a few different ways. First off, it's going to be a video series that will simulcast, just like this episode of Lead at Any Level Live is being simulcast to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So you can subscribe any of those places to get more content each week from me directly. But we'll also do a weekly simulcast once I have some videos lined up, that will be simulcast from my feeds on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. But then it's also going to become a podcast on the Living Corporate Network. And the Living Corporate Network is amazing. And they're seeing about 10,000 downloads a week, 10,000 unique listeners every week on their podcast. So this is a great way to get your message out to people about, what a great place it is to work where you work, and because of all of the amazing work that you're doing. So again, if you want it, you want in on this, you want to be interviewed, you want to highlight the amazing work you're doing inside your own employer, please comment, write down in this thread or over there or over there or wherever the comment box is, wherever you're looking, and I will get those comments and I will respond. I'll send you some information about the show. But basically, it's going to be a 30-minute, roughly, interview, sponsored again by Lead at Any Level, distributed in part by Living Corporate. And we are going to have so much fun on this series. I cannot wait to share with you some of the amazing people that I've already spoken to, some of the folks that I have lined up already. I'll give you just a little teaser. I've already talked to somebody who's in a not-for-profit in the state of Mississippi, who is just doing some incredible things that has allowed her organization to grow to 2.5 times what they were when she started in this role. And I have some folks lined up in the insurance industry, in the state and federal government space, there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming. So I hope that you will tune in, watch this space. For more on this when we actually launch and we get this thing rolling, but it'll probably be midsummer when we get started. So I'm looking at, right around the 4th of July timeframe to start releasing some of these interviews. But the tips and the just kind of the behind the scenes and the strategies and the why companies are doing this work is going to be really amazing for practitioners. But for job seekers, for people who are looking to find their place in the workplace, I think it's going to be great for them too, because they'll be able to see where are the companies that are aligning with my values, that are going to celebrate me, and help me feel welcome and give me a chance to really contribute in the way I want to contribute. So again, the name of the podcast is called Including You. It's coming soon to Lead at Any Level and for Living Corporate. And if you want to talk to me about what's going well, just leave a comment here. And if you want to talk to me about what you can be doing, if maybe you're not so proud of the work you're doing right now in this space and you need a little bit of help getting started or getting going or getting your training up to speed with what's happening in the world, you can schedule time with me at reduceturnoverstrategy.com. And I'd love to talk to you about what you're doing and what else you'd like to be doing in this space and how I might be able to help. So with that, I feel like I've rambled a little bit. I didn't intend to, but I am really excited about this new project. I cannot wait to get this out to you. Just the interviews that I've had so far have been incredible. And I know that there's more to come. So like I said, watch this space and let me know how I can help you either continue the great work you're doing or add to it in some way. Thank you all so much. I promise to be back next week with some more actionable content, but I really wanted to get this information out because it's a new project that I'm really excited about. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.